Recordings ago. We are live, online, live, and something else that rhymes with alive. So, I will say, good morning. Hey, this is Sean with the Atlanta Tennis Podcast powered by GoTennis. Check out our calendar of Metro Atlanta tennis events at letsgotennis.com. And right now, the Atlanta Tennis Podcast wants to hear from you. We want to hear your stories. We all have lots of stories. We're around tennis somewhere between, 6 to 7 days a week, somewhere in that range. And we hear a lot of stories. We see a lot of stories. We want to hear your stories. So go to letsgotennis.com/my story to tell your story. Today, this is Can My Kid Play College Tennis? It is our Friday conversation with Dave Matthews. Good morning, Dave. How you doing?
Good morning. Doing fine.
Good to hear. We are going to ask the question today, how can we take some of those irons in the fire out of the fire? We have all these things our kids are doing. We're all focused on making sure our kids are well-rounded, and well-rounded is good. But if we're looking for college tennis, usually the college tennis takes a lot of time, and maybe we don't have time for chess and violin and all of those things as much. So the question is, you're going to try to be like me, which I did, and I was on scholarship for tennis and on scholarship for academics and on scholarship for music. Now, did all three of those pay for my college? No, that's the thing. It's not like I got full ride scholarship, and that's what a lot of people are looking for. It's not just, can my kid play college tennis? It's, is it going to pay for college? And some of that's going to matter. Sometimes the kids are going to be like me. You're going to be pretty good at a lot of things. But can we take some of those irons out of the fire, Dave? And when should we start that? Are we, the advice I'm getting is 11, 12, 13. It sounds like late elementary school, middle school. Is
Yeah.
that a good target?
Yeah. I think, you know, I was talking to one of my students several months ago, and we were talking kind of opposite of what we're talking about, is taking irons out of the fire. I was talking to him about adding some off-court conditioning. And,
Different kinds of irons,
you know,
right?
that adding some irons to help your tennis game. Uh-oh.
You're fine.
And, okay. And from that, what I recommended to him was, we have a nice hill that a lot of us over there by the courts that I teach at, we use as, ways to run hills and things like that. You can do it before, after practice, during the weeks by the middle school. So that was easy. And I said, what you really want to do is give your body a chance to get into it before you blow out a gasket somewhere, whether it be your knee, your ankle, your hips, all the way up. When you start, going up a hill, and I told him, I said, if you run 10 these hills, they're not that long. They're probably only, I think about 20 yards long. So, it's a good sized climb, but you got to come back down. Think about 10 of them. Walk back down them to start with. Give your body a hurry. Take your time and, give yourself, start doing it about 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, something like that. And if you want to work it into your schedule, Sean comes from a lesson or a group lesson, you can do it just after your lesson or before, whichever's easier on your mom or dad's schedule. Go over there and run. It should only take you about 5 minutes to get 10 in easily. And so then you give your body a chance to get into it. 3 weeks after that, we can start talking about how hard is it. Then we start timing because we've gotten your body used to it. The one thing I've learned in my illustrious career is that anytime you decide you want to start doing something, number one, there's this thing we have called a fad, or in today's world, it's called a trend, or going viral. Those things happen like that. But the difference in something you're trying to incorporate into your lifestyle it's not a fad. It's going to take, and you're in it for the long haul to help over the long haul. Stamina, strength, all that is not something you build really quick. It's constant, never missing a workout. That's how you build up those two things. And people don't get that. I remember when I did curls in high school, I was doing 40 pounds. When I finished, you go pick up 40 pounds today, and tomorrow morning you won't be able to lift your arms. And it happens all the time. But I think as far as taking irons out of the fire, I think it should be kind of the same process. Don't just cold turkey, one day, well, I'm just going to quit this or quit that, because you're going to miss it. It's taking up some of your time. And from a human, realistic standpoint, you can't just withdraw. You have withdrawals. It's like smoking. You have a withdrawal. Now, I know that's nicotine based, but you have a withdrawal because it was something you enjoyed doing, and it's the same thing. So, I recommend, number one, if Sean is sitting there and he's got, let's say, chorus, chess, tennis, maybe some conditioning or another activity in the thing. What is Sean coming home, from a parent standpoint? What is Sean not necessarily griping about, but what is he not so energetic to go to? That's the first one I start drawing out of the fire. Now, back to what we talked about when you were coming up, and I still relate this to a lot of my kids. Don't get in the middle of a season and you've had a commitment for it, whatever. It could be a conditioning. Hey, I've got 5 guys I'm conditioning with, and they're depending on you, if nothing else, from a moral support, to show up. Don't quit on them in the middle of a session or something. Tell them you're coming, you're going to end at the end of this session or into this season, whatever. And then slowly start backing it away toward the end of that deadline's coming up. Start not practicing it as much. Okay. That way you kind of withdraw slowly, over a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, maybe a month. But it's not that cold turkey thing, because that cold turkey thing has been proven either way, putting them in or taking them out, not a good way. So,
and sometimes it depends on that last experience. I remember I'm sure I've told the story before. My last basketball game, my father was chewing me out about missing an easy layup. At the end, I was 12, and I said, "Dad, screw the layups." And we both knew it was over. We knew, because basketball, I think, was the thing my father kind of really wished I was doing. But he was never going to force me to be him. He was never going to, which I really appreciate about my parents. They weren't trying to say, well, baseball is my favorite, and you're going to be a baseball player, and that's how it is.
Right.
Now, that also doesn't mean you just let your kid pick whatever they want, because that's not okay either, because they're children, and they don't just get to say, today I'm a robot. Like, that's not how it works. You can identify as a football player, but that doesn't necessarily mean your parents are going to let you do it. But I knew it was over. Basketball was over. That was cold turkey. We were all done with it. And
that happens. That happens, yeah.
And in that case, that's the different side is. But I also really like swimming. Now, when does swimming interfere with my tennis training, or is it a nice addition? It's great for fitness. Great for vitamin D. The summer swimming leagues are popular here in Atlanta and in the South. So for me, that was a lot more social, where tennis was very individual, and I go in and I win or I lose. Swimming was with the friends in the neighborhood. So we've also had the conversation about team sports versus the individual sports, and those things are good together. The question is, like you said, maybe it's, you know what? He's not really fired up about his piano lessons anymore. Is that the thing we can pull back on? That doesn't necessarily mean you never play the piano again.
That's right. Me and you play chess still, not together, but we still play. And am I as good as I was when I was 10th, 11th grade in a chess club and had I can't remember what they called, high-end chess ranked player in my chess club? That's the guy you wanted to go play, because you surround yourself with a better player, somebody smarter, more moves ahead he's playing, unlike me. But, that's that's what you set yourself up to be successful in anything. But once, and I really did. That was the one thing that, and then I picked up cycling later. I still am passionate about those two. Aside from my tennis, I've always loved tennis, the sides of it, the life lessons, all that. But I still love cycling and I still love chess. And you can throw up a chessboard somewhere, and I just automatically my eyes go to it and start figuring out, okay, how many moves so I can end it
Yeah,
for you.
me too.
And people are like, "What are you looking at?" And I'm like, "Oh, the pattern is there.
The
Pattern is
distraction.
there."
The distraction. There's a
That's
chess
right.
set.
That's
There's a
right.
chess set. Excuse
That's
me a
right.
minute. I'll be back.
That's right. But I think the first thing I would do as a parent is look for that mentality or that attitude that they don't necessarily want to go to it. They're not as energetic about it. And then when you mention tennis or something else, and they jump out of their chair, that you got to take that as a cue. That's that teleprompter going ding 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 ding, go there. And usually that's not a fad. That's usually a pretty good indicator that they enjoy what they're doing. And especially if the coach or teacher or whatever sponsor is, has some days where they're a little pushy or testy, pushing them, and they still like it, that's a good sign.
Mm.
That is a good sign that they are engaged, trying to learn, and they love sometimes the challenge. That's what a lot of activities bring is challenges. And if your kid, thrives in those situations in that activity, that might be your activity for a long haul.
Yeah, and I
So,
think that's probably a good target. If we were just going to say, all right, is there one last? I say last
yeah,
because we're running out of time, but
yep,
one thing that we're going to say at the end that says, okay, how do I start narrowing down the activities? And I think this is
yep,
going to be hard because we know parents right now. It's keep your kids active, keep them focused. It
yep,
keeps them
yep,
off the streets, so to speak, right? It
yep,
keeps them from being bored and
yep,
getting in trouble. Keep them off the
yep,
iPad. Keep them off the phone.
yep,
But at some level, it's okay if I've got one activity a day. So I've got 5 activities. Maybe the weekends are off, whatever. Maybe you got church on Sunday or whatever it is you do.
right,
Right? How do I
sure,
get down from 5 to 4, and then to 3? Maybe it isn't just okay. Fine. You know what, Sean? Little Sean, you're doing 5 activities. Pick 2. It doesn't need to
right.
be a let's sit
No,
down and have an
no,
intervention, right? We can do it
no.
slowly.
Yep, and slowly, like we said, slowly withdrawing from one activity first. The one that they are least likely to get energy for. Start pulling that one away and see if they object. That gives you some time to maybe make a mistake because we all can. And the kid can lead you a little bit with the way they think about it this week versus next week. Maybe this week or two, somebody else was sick with mono or something. They're out for a week or 10 days, and Sean don't want to go to that one because his friend ain't there. I get it. I get it. That gives that a little bit of time to iron that one out too. It's not just a friend wasn't there. It's he don't really like that activity anymore. And then it gives you a little time to make an adjustment if you have to. And that's the beauty of getting in or out of anything is give yourself a little time and your body will respond, your mind will respond better. And I think that's a better overall, picture. It's kind of like what we did when I was teaching tennis, still do. But I tell people all the time, don't try to always force something. Give it a little time and let the game come to you. And sometimes the keys to winning, they present themselves like an easy docket if you give them a little patience. If you don't, you're pushing, you're going to make some errors, bad move.
Makes me think of one of my favorite movies is the animated Robin Hood movie from back in the 70s.
Yep,
And one of the quotes in the movie is absence makes the heart grow fonder. And in
yep,
that
yep,
case, sometimes when you miss something, allow the kid to miss something a little bit. Say, you know
yep.
what, let's take the season off. And maybe they start asking about it again. And if it's something you don't
That's
want them
right.
to do, say, I'm a parent that says, no, we're not playing football because it's dangerous. Okay, fine. Then just move on. But if
Right.
if they start asking, hey, Dad, you want to play chess again? Hey, but if they never ask about the violin again, I think
Let it
that's
go.
the one, and I pick on the violin, I guess. I don't know why. Sorry,
Right.
nothing against the violin right now. It happened to be the
That's right.
example. But in the same way, if tennis just kind of disappears because you take a winter off, that's okay. That's okay too. What that does is that answers your question, Dave. Can
Yep.
my
Yep.
kid play college tennis? In that case, no.
No,
You take a winter off,
that's
you
right.
don't come back. Obviously, your
That's right.
kid is not playing college tennis. Dave Matthews, thank you so much. Friday Conversations. I love it. We'll see you again next week.
You bet, Sean. Take care, buddy.